The Chicago White Sox lost to the Baltimore Orioles 4-3 in 11 innings on Thursday night. It was an ugly loss. The Sox gave the game away, and Baltimore took advantage. The White Sox lost the series and could not capitalize on Cleveland losing their game against the Mariners. White Sox are back in town as they begin a 3-game series tonight against the Arizona Diamondbacks.
You are Locked On White Sox, your daily Chicago White Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, Sox fans, welcome to Locked On White Sox. Thank you for making Locked On White Sox your first listen each and every day. We're free and available on all platforms. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Locked On Sox. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just search Locked On White Sox. Today's episode is brought to you by Bet Online. Bet Online has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. Bet Online, where the game starts. Hey, I'm your host, Nick Morawski, a lifelong diehard Chicago White Sox fan, recording this podcast just blocks from the ballpark in beautiful Bridgeport. You can find me on Twitter at Nick_GGTB. Really appreciate you letting me steal some of your time to talk White Sox, especially after Thursday night's game. Locked On White Sox is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Hey, it's Elvis night on the South Side, and Johnny Cueto is on the mound. Maybe that can spark some magic for the Sox. Don't expect to win if you give an opponent multiple chances to beat you. And why is Luis Robert swinging with one hand and Andrew Vaughn hitting in the leadoff spot? State of our White Sox, 63-62. 4 games back in the AL Central, chasing the Cleveland Guardians. There are 37 games left in the season. White Sox lost to the Orioles 4-3 Thursday night. It was an ugly game. Sox really had no business of winning that game, but they had an opportunity, blew it. We will cover it. Offense, pitching, defense. There's a lot to get to. A maddening game, really, heartbreaker. But that is the way that this season has been going. Sox lose the series and hopefully can get back on track at home to a scuffling Arizona Diamondbacks team. The excitement really Friday night is you got Johnny Cueto on the hill, and we'll talk later in this episode. White Sox offense, again, they had 12 singles on Wednesday night and won the game. It was their first win without an extra base hit since May 28th, 2019. In that game back in 2019, James McCann, remember him? He was 3 for 4. Yonder Alonso and Charlie Tilson had RBIs. That's how long ago it was. Luis Robert, he suffered a bone bruise on a swing in the 8th inning Wednesday night. And coming into the finale, Robert had a 14-game hitting streak. Luis Robert looked horrible, really, in Thursday's game. Multiple at-bats and moments, swinging with one hand, yet he was still out there. This is what Tony La Russa said before Thursday's game regarding the bone bruise. That's the diagnosis, La Russa said. It's a bone bruise and you tap it. Ouch. But it doesn't make it worse. It may stay sore, but it's not like you're tweaking a muscle or something. So Robert was definitely in the lineup, and boy, he looked like he was in pain. Eloy Jimenez returned to the lineup, coming back from being pelted by a 102-mile-per-hour fastball from Bautista on Tuesday night in that padded elbow. Thursday's lineup looked a little odd. You had Andrew Vaughn in the leadoff spot, I believe for the first time ever in his career. Kind of an odd choice there. Normally, it's a guy that can run, but Vaughn penciled in at the top spot. Gavin Sheets was in the 2 spot, another odd decision. But coming into the finale, he was 5 for 8 with 3 RBIs, had a really good series in Baltimore. Robert, of course, had that 14-game hitting streak coming in. Then you had Abreu. Jimenez, he had the only home run coming into Thursday's game, and he was back in the lineup. Moncada, we'll talk about him for sure in this episode. He was playing some wonderful defense. And then you got Andrus, Harrison, and Zavala in the 9th spot. 3 for 5 with 4 walks in the series coming into Thursday's game. So first inning, obviously a lot of discussion about Andrew Vaughn hitting in the top spot. He takes the first pitch he saw over the wall in center field quickly, 1-0 White Sox. Then Gavin Sheets rips a single up the middle. And then Robert hits into a double play. Then Abreu grounds out. Sox take a first inning lead for the 3rd game in a row. Second inning, Moncada with a much needed single broke an 0 for 19 slump. Third inning, Andrew Vaughn with a 1-out double off the left field wall. Would have been a home run last season, but again, the Baltimore Orioles moved back that wall and heightened it. Gavin Sheets with his second hit of the game. Runners at the corners for Robert. Of course, he's got that bone bruise. He's also on that 14-game hitting streak. And Luis Robert hit into his second double play of the game, and that ends the threat for the White Sox. Fourth inning, Eloy Jimenez with a base hit. Moncada with his second hit of the game. You've got first and second, only 1 out. Andrus and Harrison can't get the tying run across. Nothing doing in the 5th. So Sox with 7 hits after 5 innings, but only 1 run to show for it. 6th inning, you've got Luis Robert. He flies out to center field, and he is just not looking right. If the first double play didn't tell the story, the second double play he hit into definitely did. And then that weak fly ball to center field. The swing was looking lazy. It was ineffective, and it only got worse as the game went on. 7th inning, Sox waited until the 7th inning to tack on more runs on Wednesday night. Could that be the case again on Thursday? Romy Gonzalez with a bloop single to start things off. Looked to be a hit and run because Gonzalez was off running to second. Elvis Andrus with a shot to first base, and Mountcastle could not make the play. First and second, nobody out. The Sox absolutely have to get this run in. Harrison hit a ground ball to shortstop. They got the force at second, then a wild throw to first, and Gonzalez scored to tie the game up at 2. It was not pretty, but it got the job done. Zavala then hits into the 3rd White Sox double play. 8th inning, top of the order to lead things off. Andrew Vaughn with a swinging bunt. Not a good start. Then hometown boy Gavin Sheets crushed a 2-0 pitch off the right field wall for a double. His 3rd hit of the game. Looking for Robert to have a productive at-bat here. And here we're seeing Luis Robert in the 8th, essentially swinging with one hand. He manages to hit a grounder to first, and Sheets moves to 3rd. And then we've got August Abreu. After committing 2 errors in the game up until this point, Abreu comes through with a base hit through the left side. Sheets scores. Sox take a 3-2 lead. Really could have used an insurance run in the 9th, but nothing happened there. Of course, this game went into extras. 10th inning, Baltimore Orioles bring in their closer Bautista, and he is nasty. He is dangerous, throwing 100 miles an hour plus with movement. Harrison, of course, is that ghost runner at second base. Zavala pops up in foul territory for the first out. Then Engel, he could get some sweet redemption here, but he flies out to right, and then Sheets struck out. No way did I think the Sox were going to have an opportunity after they failed, but they did as they held the Orioles. We'll talk about it in a moment. 11th inning for the White Sox. You got to get this ghost runner in. Bautista's still in the game, though, unfortunately. Luis Robert leading off, and he struck out. Pretty much he swung with one hand. The replay showed it. I mean, he just looks like, he can't even compete. I don't understand why he was out there with how his attempts were throughout the game. Absolutely unreal. Abreu pops up into the infield. Jimenez grounds out. Sox failed to score a man from second in back-to-back opportunities. I have not seen that very often. I mean, I have seen where, the away team will score a run and then the home team scores a run. Okay. And then we go again into the 11th. But I mean, 2 opportunities to get a guy from second home, and they could not do it. White Sox offense, 3 runs, 11 hits, 0 walks, 3 strikeouts, 3 extra base hits. The Sox were 2 for 13 with runners in scoring position. They left 7 runners on. Gavin Sheets was 3 for 5 Thursday night, 8 for 13 in the series. There was a lot of blame to go around, but extra attention will be paid to Adam Engel and Liam Hendriks. I'm going to tell you why the Sox deserved to lose. More on that in a moment. BetOnline.net is the fastest and easiest way to check in on all your betting needs. Find all your favorite sports and events at the #1 online source for odds, lines, and games. Find reviews and news of every league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all your sports wagering information. From live in-game betting, scores, and podcasts, they have you covered. Head to BetOnline today or use your mobile device to learn more about the action happening today. BetOnline, where the game starts. So Lance Lynn was on the hill for the White Sox. First inning, he had a rough inning. With 1 out, he gave up a 2-run home run to Santander, and quickly that 1-0 lead that the Sox had was erased. It was 2-1 Baltimore. Again, much like Tuesday, Baltimore answered back. Lynn did get back-to-back strikeouts to end the inning. However, he threw 30 pitches in the first. Second inning, Yoan Moncada made a very fluid, all-in-one motion play to cancel out a bunt. There was a chance he might have been hurt on that play, bent over, kind of grimacing a little bit, but he stayed in the game. More on that in a little bit. With 2 outs, Abreu was not able to make a catch in foul territory. It was over-the-shoulder type of grab that he's made before. It popped right out of his glove. Lance Lynn basically just has to throw more pitches, got a strikeout to end things. Third inning, Mullins, speedster, gets on but is thrown out trying to steal second. Then another great play by Yoan Moncada as he had a range back towards short left field, really testing out those legs. Lynn able to hold off the Orioles. Fourth inning, Andrew Vaughn flashes some leather out in left field. Lynn with 6 strikeouts after 4 innings. Only 3 hits allowed so far, but one of them was, of course, that 2-run home run. 75 pitches after the fourth. He might not be long for this one. Fifth inning, there we see the end result of not only that hustle play by Moncada on the bunt, but then running out to short left field to grab that fly ball. Moncada left the game with left hamstring tightness. Not only had he had a couple hits, but he was playing some great defense and really did the entire series. Sox say he is day to day. So Harrison moved to third. Gonzalez came into second base. Lynn with a strikeout to start off the fifth and managed to get out of the inning with just a 1-run deficit. Baltimore still at this point only 3 hits. 6th inning, 90 pitches on Lance Lynn's arm as he starts the inning. Got to get a couple of quick outs. Looked to be in pain after his 8th strikeout of the game, kind of holding his side, twisting a bit. LaRussa and Kruk came out to check on him. He stayed in the game, and on his 100th pitch, he induced a weak infield flyout. Pretty nice outing for Lance Lynn, I got to say. 6 innings, 3 hits, 2 runs, only 1 earned, a walk, 8 strikeouts. His ERA 5.00. And of course, he threw 100 pitches on the nose. It was a quality start, really just 1 bad inning. It was the first inning. So in the 7th, Ronaldo Lopez comes in. Sox just tied the game up in the top half. So looking for a very quick inning here. Allow the Sox to get the bats going again. Fly out, strikeout, then fielded his position well on a comebacker. It was a 1-2-3 inning. So 8th inning, Sox just took the lead. This was a critical moment when you're watching in real time. And Jimmy Lambert got the call on this one. 94 miles per hour in the corner, then a 77 mile per hour, a 12-6 curveball, then a sweeping slider for the strikeout. Outstanding sequence. 1 batter, 1 out. Got the speedster Mullins to fly out to left field, then Rutschman to pop out to third. You know, Jimmy Lambert, another amazing performance in a high leverage situation. Here we go, 9th inning. Boy, you could pretty much do an entire episode on this 9th inning. Liam Hendriks comes in the game, and this is a save situation. He had pitched the previous game, of course, and can't afford to give up a 2-run home run like he did Wednesday night. Little did we know what was coming. On a full count, he got Santander to pop out to Zavala. That was a huge out. Now it's Mountcastle. Big strikeout on a slider. We have 2 outs. Stowers swings at the first pitch. Engel was racing towards foul territory in left field. It looked like he maybe overran the ball a little bit, but he had the ball in his glove. It popped out of his glove. So you got new life for the Baltimore Orioles. You can cut the tension with the knife. And with 2 strikes, Stowers hits a game-tying solo home run to center field. Hendriks gets the 3rd out with a strikeout. Unbelievable. When I saw that happen and that ball popped out of Engel's glove, I just had that sick feeling. I said, you know what? Baltimore's going to capitalize on this. And that's a play Engel makes, and I know he feels absolutely terrible about, but, you know, Hendriks, you can't give up that home run either. And how often does Hendriks do that? Probably not terribly often. It just seems like when you need him to get that 3rd out, shut them down, he lets them have life, and boy, did they ever. 10th inning, Joe Kelly comes in. Odor with a bunt. Kelly fields the ball and sends like a lazy rainbow toss to first base. Runners are safe at 1st and 3rd. Harrison with a wonderful leaping grab at 3rd, then threw home to get the 1st out. Nice play by Harrison. A fly out to center for the 2nd out, and then runners at 2nd and 3rd for Mullins, and he grounds out. How about that? 11th inning. Again, the Sox failed to score in their part of the 10th and their part of the 11th. You just had a feeling like, I don't think this is going to last too much longer. Justin Diekman comes in, and then you got a leadoff single for Baltimore. Runners on the corners, nobody out. Santander ends with a shot to center field. Sox lose 4-3 and 11 innings and lose the series. Heartbreaking game. Sox commit 3 errors, and that Adam Engel error, that was tough. But then you coupled it with, Hendriks giving up a home run to center field, 2-out home run. It was unbelievable, but that's how it's been going for the White Sox in 2022. Hey, it's Elvis night, and Johnny Cueto is on the mound. I'm going to tell you why the Diamondbacks will be caught in a trap. More on that in a moment. The Arizona Diamondbacks are 56-67. They come to town for a 3-game series. Cleveland will be battling with the Seattle Mariners. Friday night, Johnny Cueto is on the hill. If you have an opportunity to get to the game and you're on the fence, it's supposed to be a beautiful day, a mid-70s, and you got a Johnny Cueto start. In a season with ups and downs, and you don't know what to expect from this team. Cueto is, he's been pretty consistent. He has been a human highlight reel, the magic man. I'm looking forward to seeing him. I'll be at the game Friday night. It's also Elvis night, and it's Elvis Andrews' birthday, which is an odd situation. Elvis's first home game, first game on the South Side. So we'll see what happens. Again, on paper, the Sox should be able to take care of business against the Diamondbacks, but, we've been talking about that all season long, especially after the All-Star break with this supposed easy schedule that the Sox have. But it's now or never. Every game is really a playoff game. Sox have to capitalize, sweep the Diamondbacks, and then, see what happens between Cleveland and Seattle. Thanks so much, folks, for making this podcast part of your daily routine. You can find the Locked On White Sox podcast absolutely everywhere you find your podcasts. We are on Twitter and Instagram at Locked On Sox. You can find me on Twitter at Nick_GGTB. Thanks for making Locked On White Sox your first listen. Now make your second listen the Locked On MLB podcast. MLB expert Paul Francis Sullivan brings humor, passion, and unique perspective on every team and the biggest stories around the league. Follow the #1 daily league-wide podcast, Locked On MLB, on the Odyssey app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. Coming up on the next episode, I will recap the weekend that was and hopefully be talking about a series sweep for our White Sox. Really appreciate you making time for the Locked On White Sox podcast. I'm Nick Morawski. Until next time, go Sox.